This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball. Beautiful night and no rain. Finally, it's game number 2 of this 4-game series. The Pittsburgh Pirates, the St. Louis Cardinals. Matt Carpenter, congratulations to the Cardinals second baseman. He is headed to the All-Star game, 3rd career All-Star selection. Matt Carpenter's in the starting lineup tonight. Welcome to the broadcast booth. That's Rick Horton. Jim Hayes is also here. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Mike Leake will get the call tonight against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And this is a team that he's had very good success against.
9-4 in his career against the Pirates, including a victory that came in the month of June. The Cardinals swept the Pirates that series. Leake went 7 solid innings. Only had 1 bad inning where he gave up 2 earned runs. No walks, 6 strikeouts. Almost identical to his last outing against Kansas City, which resulted in a loss.
So 7 innings in that start. We'll see if it carries over to tonight. He'll have to stop the red-hot Gregory Polanco. 2 home runs in game 1. Speaking of hot, how about Matt Carpenter? 2 for 4, a couple of RBIs. Polanco, Carpenter, Cards and Pirates coming up. Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. By Chevrolet. Visit your local Mid-America Chevy dealer for great prices on the all-new 2016 Malibu. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. Beautiful night, warm, muggy here in St. Louis. Along with Rick Horton and Jim Hayes, I'm Dan McLaughlin. 90 degrees here at Busch Stadium for Game 2 of this 4-game series. The Pirates have won 5 straight. The Cardinals with a record of 43-39. Pittsburgh 42-41. John Jaso will lead it off, followed by Gregory Polanco, then Andrew McCutchen. The cleanup man, Starling Marte, then David Freese, riding a 6-game hit streak. Josh Harrison, Jordy Mercer, Eric Fryer, the former Cardinal, and Steven Brault, the pitcher, making his major league debut. Mike Leake is a tough luck loser in his last start at Thursday against the Royals. 3 runs, 2 earned over 7 innings of work, and a 4-2 Cardinals loss. And away we go.
One of the things you're going to see from Mike Leake is strikes. He's not going to walk a lot of batters. He wants action in the first couple of pitches in every at bat. He wants the pitch count low and wants to use his infield.
Jaso in the first inning of games this year has set the tone. Average of .365, on base percentage over .400. Just missed. Brian Pena is behind the plate. He'll get the start tonight. And those two hooked up in Brian's first start of the season against the Kansas City Royals. Rather ironic that you have Brian Pena behind the plate, Eric Fryer, who was called up and then released. Now with Pittsburgh, he gets the start tonight for the Pirates.
Everybody in the Cardinals organization happy for Fryer that he landed with a job.
High fly ball out to deep right field. Battling the sun, Piscotty, and he's got it.
Definitely some sun issues in deep right center, and the glare coming off Piscotty, you can see it from that angle, and he was not real sure of that about halfway through that route, but made a nice play. I've liked the defense I've seen from Piscotty in right and in center. I think he holds his own no matter where he plays. We haven't seen much of him at first base. That experiment was short. Cardinals have a number of other guys that can play first, so there's no need to put him there.
Here's Gregory Polanco hitting .297, 2 home runs yesterday, now 12 on the year. First ever 2-home-run game of his career. Ground ball, right side. Jed Jerko flips to Leake for the out. 2 down.
Look at the Hyundai pitch arsenal for Mike Leake. 50% fastballs. He also throws the cutter in on the hands of left-handed batters. We've seen the changeup a couple of times already. That's going to be down and away from lefties. Slider and a curve, so a couple of variations of the breaking ball, but you're going to get strikes. He's going to try to get through 7 innings with 75 pitches. That would be a perfect day as far as Mike Leake is concerned, with a ton of ground ball.
The slider taken outside. Here's Andrew McCutchen. Average at .236. We're not accustomed to seeing that out of Andrew McCutchen. 1 ball, 1 strike. McCutchen, 163 career home runs. Only 2 right-handed batters have hit more than McCutchen in the Pirates' all-time history. And they're 2 Hall of Famers, Ralph Kiner and Roberto Clemente. Kiner had 301 wearing that Pittsburgh uniform, and he singles with 2 outs.
Andrew McCutchen, we look at the career, and he was moved to the 2nd spot in the order, and the average in that 2nd spot, 248, and this year most of those at-bats from that spot. Lower production, lower OPS, the home run different, and I'm wondering whether when he was in that 2nd spot, if he pressed a little bit, maybe changed his approach. They've talked about him pressing and expanding his strike zone too much, and that's not what you think of normally when you think of McCutchen. So you wonder if the spot in the order may have something to do with it.
Here's Starling Marte. Marte hitting .321. 6 home runs. He has driven in 31. 8 for his last 18 here at Busch Stadium. A career .309 hitter at this ballpark.
This guy's a player, isn't he?
Big time. Fun to watch. How aggressive do you think the Pirates will be with Brian Pena behind the plate?
Somewhere north of very.
That settles that. Oh, he may have gotten him. Cardinals will take a look at this. This is Rick Horton's favorite play in baseball, the replay.
I don't mind this replay because I want to look at it. And did he tag him in time?
He's
Maybe.
out.
I think he might be out. But the bench coach on the phone, that's my second favorite.
So the Cardinals want to take a look at this. The crew chief is Dale Scott. He'll get together with Lance Barrett, the first base umpire, and they'll be on the phone to New York.
Last time we saw Pena catch Leake, Mike Leake made an error on a throw just like that because he was trying to control the running game. He made an error because he was being overly quick. This throw right on the money, maybe he gets his man, but it goes to your question of how aggressive the Pirates are going to be in testing Brian Pena. They're going to test it, and if you're going to get tested, you might as well go full bore over to first base on a pickoff move, and that's what we saw.
They've just showed the replay on the video board here at the ballpark, and you can hear the reaction of the fans here at Busch Stadium. They believe he's out.
Another look. Where is the tag? He doesn't get him right away. Doesn't have him yet. Now he does. Where's the hand? I still think he's out. Wonder if there's a better angle that they might see in Mission Control.
When he initially, the first throw over was just kind of a lob. And then the second time and third time over, it was quick. His last pickoff, by the way, Mike Leake, he has 6 of them in his career, was back in 2014. That season he had 2, none last season and none this year so far. That may change here momentarily. So McCutchen is out. We head to a timeout. Cardinals coming up in the home half of the first, and there's no score. Major League debut tonight, Steven Brault, a left-hander for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
6 feet, 190 pounds. So like Mike Leake, not a big prototypical pitcher. He's 24 years of age and has a fastball low 90s, has a breaking pitch that's best called a slurve. It's halfway between a slider and a curve, and not overpowering, but has very good minor league numbers.
So Jameson Taillon has been put on the disabled list with a shoulder fatigue is what it's being called. So the lefty making his debut. Lone all-star right now for the Cardinals is at the plate, and that's Matt Carpenter. Congratulations to Matt. He told me before the game that he, new baby, wife, all headed to the all-star game. His parents, his wife's parents, and also a few select family members, but was really excited. And he should be an all-star, hitting .305.
Third-time selection for Matt.
When you look at all the numbers, and he's leading most offensive categories for the Cardinals, how about this? 58 walks to go along with 58 strikeouts. When you hit for power in this day and age in baseball, most teams, if not all, will say, well, we don't mind the strikeouts if they pile up if you provide power. And Carpenter has done that with 14 home runs, 25 doubles, but yet as many walks as strikeouts.
And to give that some comparison, Andrew McCutchen has 84 strikeouts for the Pirates. You think of him as a power guy and also an average guy, but he has 84 strikeouts. So that's quite a bit more than Carpenter, who has more at-bats than McCutchen has.
A 3-2 pitch, and Carpenter is jammed just a bit, hits it to the right side, and Josh Harrison makes the play. Parents in the stands and a kiss from mom. Good luck in a moment that they've all been waiting for.
You know, I think after he gets Matt Carpenter out and he's now officially a major leaguer, I think he ought to be able to go over and say hi to her again, or call a couple friends. Give him a timeout. Why not? It's a big moment, Dan.
By the way, I'm assuming that's his mother, not just some random fan. Just a thought.
Get you amazed on that?
Here's a 1-0 pitch. He's 24 years of age. Originally drafted as an 11th round pick by the Orioles in 2001. He was acquired in the deal that sent Travis Snyder to Baltimore in January of 2015. As Diaz fouls it back.
He went to Regis University in Colorado, and the reason he went there is they told him he could be both a hitter and a pitcher. No one else would allow him to do that. Interesting guy. He's actually in a rock band that have decided they're on a hiatus until his big league career is over.
He also went to Regis, which is a D2 school in Colorado, because they also have vocal performance as a major. So that's another reason why he wanted to go there. 3-1 pitch to Diaz on the inside corner. Talented singer, the first male vocal music major in the school's history.
And he has a slurve. I'm sure he has the best slurve of anybody that's ever been to Regis University.
Agreed. 3-2 the count. Cardinals lineup: Carpenter, Diaz, Holiday, Piscotty, Peralta, Jerko, then Pham, Pena, and Leake. 3-2 pitch, and he walked him. And it brings in Holiday. It's 2 for his last 22. Around the horn, presented by Dobbs. Marte, a Gold Glover in left, 9 outfield assists already. The Pirates collectively 19 this season. McCutchen at center, Polanco is in right. David Freese at third, Mercer at short, Harrison at second, Jaso at first, and Eric Fryer behind the plate.
So you asked whether the Pirates would test Brian Pena. Big swing by Holiday. Will the Cardinals test Eric Fryer? They know what he can do. They know he's a very competent catcher. He did a nice job with St. Louis. I hated to see him go, frankly. Not just because the average was good, but I thought he handled himself well behind the plate. I thought he handled the staff well. Clearly, he's not Yadier Molina, but he held his own.
Here's an 0-1 pitch to Holliday. Right on it, but fouled back. Even on that swing, look at that reaction. He knows that was a pitch he could handle, and here at home he's hitting 175, and you just wonder, is he putting more pressure on himself here at Busch Stadium?
Well, the frustration's starting to show. We've seen him slam his helmet a few times and not be happy with a couple of check swing calls, and you know, frustration is a part of this game and bound to happen. Mannerisms of a player have importance in terms of who you're competing against too. If the pitcher feels that you're defeated, he's going to exploit that and try to make you even more frustrated.
And the 0-2 to Holliday. Instead of check on Diaz. Not a very comfortable throw over there by the lefty. Travis Snider, by the way, was released by the Orioles last year. Brault went 13-4 in 28 starts. First season in the Pirates system. Just 4 home runs allowed in 155 innings. Hit left side and foul. This year he did have 8 starts at AAA. Working his way back from an ankle injury that was suffered in May. Don't know if he would go very long in this game tonight. He hasn't thrown more than 77 pitches in either of his last 2 starts.
Working up a sweat already, isn't he? Big league debut. St. Louis, 92 degrees.
The 0-2. Double play. Right into the glove of Jaso, and nothing that Diaz could do. It's a double play. And John Jaso, that is out numbers 2 and 3. He wanted to stay out there. No reason to. Nice play by Jaso to Rob Holliday, and there's no score. Starling Marte leads it off, and it would not be Cardinals baseball without hearing from Jim Hayes. Jimmy.
Dan, you were talking about Matt Carpenter. As you know, he's a pretty laid-back guy. You could see that he was thrilled to be going back to the All-Star game again. He told me he was thrilled and thankful. He told me, quote, "This will be my third. The excitement doesn't go away. I'm extremely humbled to go represent the Cardinals." He said his first All-Star game was Mariano Rivera's last. His second was Derek Jeter's last All-Star game. He said just being part of that is something that he'll never forget. He was also asked about his recent offensive surge, which might have put him in the All-Star competition. Carpenter said the healthy arrival of his first child, Kinley Ray, may have played a part. Dan, he said, it's about daddy's strength.
Well, maybe you should have had twins. Thank you, Jimmy.
David was somewhere between embarrassed about that, thankful for it. Cardinal fans don't care either way. They're going to express their feelings towards David and what he meant to this organization. Of course, being a local player, that's part of it.
Sure. I mean, it's one of the great, if not the greatest baseball story in recent history for the Cardinals. Hometown kid saves the day not once but twice. Freese, Eckstein, Porter, Gibson did it twice. The Cardinals World Series MVPs. David will be part of that 2006 celebration coming up here at the ballpark. Many of the former players will be back. The 10-year anniversary of that championship team. The 2-2. And he struck him out. We like you for a little bit, David. Now go sit down.
Right. We're still competing here.
That's good for Lee. And I say that because David Freese came into play tonight, 11 for 22 against the Cardinals right-hander. First strikeout for Mike Leake, and it brings in Josh Harrison. Ground ball that's hit to second. There's the all-star Carpenter. 9-pitch inning. Piscotty, Peralta, Jerko coming up in a scoreless game from Busch Stadium. 18th, Budweiser providing 30,000 fans ages 21 and older the sixth Stein in the Cardinals Championship Series. This year's Stein highlights the 10th anniversary of the 06 championship team. And tickets are available at cardinals.com/promotions. We saw in between innings as Stephen Piscotty leads it off. Mike Matheny in a long conversation with home plate umpire Bob Davidson. It looked like they were checking over the lineup card.
You've got to make sure that you've got all the extras right and you've got the lineup right. We saw it yesterday in baseball.
Piscotty with a fly ball out to right. Polanco drifting back, and he dropped it. Piscotty on his way to second, now on his way to third. Polanco never seemed comfortable going back on that ball.
We talked yesterday. Polanco has been having some issues with his legs, and right there he just has an issue of catching the baseball. He looked a little fumbly yesterday in the outfield, but swung the bat very well with no issues there, and this ball just clanks off his glove. That's a 3-base error in my mind, but at this point it's being ruled a triple. Piscotty will take it. Polanco should have caught it.
A shift here for Jhonny Peralta. A triple. Boy, is that generous. And the second triple of the season for Piscotty.
To finish the lineup card debacle that happened in the Brewers game, the wrong player was up. Craig Counsell had the wrong lineup on the lineup card that he handed in, so after a base hit, the batter was ruled out because he was the wrong guy. So Matheny between innings and Bob Davidson, and I'm not so sure, Dan, that that doesn't have something to do with the changes the Cardinals have made on their bench recently. Wants to make sure all the names are right.
One of those additions for the Cardinals is Randal Grichuk. Brandon Moss has been put on the DL. The sore left ankle. We saw him go down the line a couple of times yesterday, trying to leg out a couple of base hits. One time he did, and he came up limping after the first time. Here's a 3-0 pitch. Baseball America. They say that his fastball, this young man, tops out at 92, sits at 89-91, features a slider, curve, changeup, but outstanding command according to Baseball America.
And boy, can he sing.
That was the other part. Watch this swing here of Jhonny Peralta. Did he hurt himself?
Well, he comes up empty, and one hand comes off the bat, and you wonder. I mean, that's how Cervelli got hurt against the Cardinals in Pittsburgh. You hope that's not the same thing, and not expecting that it is, but Cervelli on a swing couldn't finish with the bat, and it rolled over. And there are times where players will tweak their wrist or something in their hand. You're taking a violent swing and you miss. That's worse than making contact, especially if you're fooled a little bit.
The injury in spring training was on the left hand. On the inside corner, and he strikes out. Makes you wonder if he couldn't pull the trigger on that inside pitch because of the issue that he had on the previous swing.
Sure looked as if he was protecting here more than aggressively attacking this pitch, which was in the lower half of the zone. Looks like it was a strike. Lefty hit his spot. We'll have to keep our eye on Peralta.
At first base tonight, Jedd Gyorko. And a strike. 229 the average for Gyorko. 7 home runs. And he's driven in 18.
Cardinals have to capitalize on that misplay by the right fielder Polanco. Can't afford another strikeout here. Put the ball in play if you're Jedd Gyorko.
Breaking ball, and he rips it into left, and it's 1-0 Cardinals. Hung an 0-2 pitch. Piscotty scores. Jerko drives in the first run tonight.
We tried to throw the same pitch that he struck Peralta out with, a down and in breaking ball, but this one hangs out, just as you said, Danny, over the plate a little bit. Not a good 0-2 spot, and Jerko capitalizes.
It's mom and dad watching this youngster, and now Tommy Pham.
Well, Dan, I will say for the 500th time, and I'm not going to stop saying it unless you make me, one of the great thoughts that I always have about somebody who's making their major league debut, or at least what I think about, as I should say, is that it's a celebration of not only a success story for him, but also for his family. I love the fact that his family's here, and you think about his high school coach and his college coach and his voice teacher at Regis University. They're all excited for this guy, that he's pitching in the big leagues. It's a big moment for those people.
All the practices, time in the backyard, traveling. 2 balls and 1 strike. He's got quite the tattoo that you see there. Snakes up his right non-throwing arm in a honeycomb pattern he calls futuristic. The 2-1 pitch. Late with that swing for Tommy Pham. Tommy hitting .219, couple of home runs. Did that against Seattle.
Looks pretty futuristic to me. Thinking about doing that, Dan.
And a swing and a miss. Dan and Amy Brault will appreciate that, mom and dad. Second strikeout.
This time he goes with the fastball up in the zone after last 2 hitters trying to finish him off with the breaking ball. I like his stuff. Fastball's a little straight, but it has life to it on the inner half. Breaking pitch he's throwing to both sides of the plate. Looks like he has an idea. Over a strikeout an inning this year in the minor leagues. And he too dealt with some injuries this year. He had a hamstring problem, so his minor league numbers aren't huge because he missed some time.
So 2 outs and a runner at first. Pena 0 for 4 to start his Cardinals career. Initially ruled a triple for Stephen Piscotty. Now it's been changed to an error on right fielder Gregory Polanco, and that'll be his 2nd error of the year. I agree with that call now.
100%.
A lot of times the official scorer will make that call and then starts asking around the press box, getting other opinions, and that's when it's changed. 2-1 pitch.
My understanding is there's a kind of a pecking order about how you actually present what you think about that to the official score, and it's really up to them. They don't have to ask, but they're trying to get it right, and they'll ask the writers that have been around, and how'd you see that? What'd you think? It's their call, it's their decision, and they're employed by Major League Baseball, so they're not homers. They're just trying to do what they think is best.
Ground ball that's hit to short, and a flip to second baseman Josh Harrison. On an 0-2 pitch, Jed Jerko lines a single into left to score Stephen Piscotty after the error from Polanco, and it's 1-0. Peralta during the commercial break, and he's been fiddling with that left thumb and left hand, and that's the injury that he sustained in spring training. And then we saw that on that violent swing. The second strike in his at bat hurt that hand, it looked like, as Adam Olson, medical trainer of the Cardinals, consulting with Mike Matheny about Jhonny Peralta.
Peralta has that thumb wrapped right now, and he's been very cautious with that, and that kind of swing is the kind of thing that can bother it, and you just hope that that just tweaked it a bit. There's the wrap we see on Peralta's left hand, and again, we'll keep an eye on him. We'll see if he can swing the bat effectively or not, and at this point, Mike Matheny making the decision to keep him in.
Jordy Mercer at the plate has hit safely in 16 of his last 18 games. Eric Fryer on deck, and then Steven Brault. Mentioned the only All-Star representing the Cardinals this season will be Matt Carpenter. And think about how Carpenter has done it the 3 times that he's been an All-Star. Second base, third base, now as a utility guy. Off the end of the bat, little squibber hit to the right side. Leake peels off to the bag and beats him.
I'm sure that All-Star game conversation will be a frustrating one for Cardinal fans who are used to having multiple players. There's the good footwork by Leake to find the bag. Very athletic covering. Good flip from Jerko right on the money. Catch the ball first, then find the bag. But the Cardinals would love to have Yadier Molina in the All-Star game. Cardinal fans would. They're used to that. Matt Holliday has been in the All-Star game many times. Aledmys Diaz is having an outstanding season. The power of Brandon Moss. Stephen Piscotty is having a very solid season in the outfield for the Cardinals. But you look at all those players and you look at who's on the team and you understand why they're on it. All those Cardinal players are having really good seasons. But I guess there's a difference between really good seasons from a whole lot of people and who's having that breakout All-Star year. And Carpenter's certainly deserving. I think you could make a case for Aledmys Diaz pretty strongly as well.
I do too. What if the Cardinals were 15 above 500 too? Would that change the mindset of Terry Collins, who will manage the National League this year?
Well, I think he was forced to not take too many people from the Central Division too. You think about the Cubs and all of their representation. You've got to take some players from the West Coast, East Coast, and I think his hands were tied a bit with that, frankly.
The Cubs will have the starting infield. First time that has happened since 1963, when the Cardinals in the National League represented every position on the infield. Bill White at first base, Julian Javier at second, Dick Rote at short, Kenny Boyer was at third. The difference, though, between 1963 and this year, all the Cubs players were voted in. The Cardinals players, the difference was Bill Mazeroski was voted in but hurt, and that's why Julian Javier made the start. Hit up the middle, Diaz to his left, gloves and throws. Nice play.
I think it was also pretty clear around baseball that Aledmys Diaz was having issues with defense early in the season. I wonder if that's hurt him too, in terms of a national level understanding about the kind of year he's having. But the defense lately has been outstanding. That was not an easy play, covered a lot of ground, made it look easy.
So 2 outs. And the first major league at bat for Steven Brault.
He can swing it.
Oh, 0-2.
Hit over 500 his first couple of years in the minor leagues with limited at bats. Just ask Mom.
0-2 pitch.
Haven't seen it yet. Haven't seen that good swing, but Mom's happy. First big league at bat. Yeah, baby.
And the 0-2. Tapped foul. Mike Leake has had great success against the Pirates, as we noted in the open. 9-4 against Pittsburgh in his career. And the 0-2. Hit up the middle and his first major league hit.
There you go, Mom.
We'll throw that baseball out. Mom and Dad, family and friends, excited for Steven Brault. Major league debut here tonight. He's got a couple of strikeouts, and now his first major league hit.
Leake tried to get him with a backdoor slider, and there's the result.
Here is Jaso with the runner at first. Hit left side. Peralta gloves and tosses it over to Jerko. Pirates have left one on. The Cardinals have Leake, Carpenter, Diaz coming up. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by your local Volkswagen dealer. Little leaguers out in Ballwin. We've got cameras all over St. Louis. You never know where Tony West may pop up.
And that's when the dream starts of having your first major league hit, your first major league appearance. And that's what the Pirates left-hander is doing. Mike Matheny, by the way, had some more conversation with Johnny Peralta between innings. We'll see if we see him. But the starter for Pittsburgh, Brault, picked up his first major league hit in the top of the third. Has to be excited about that. And I would say he's pitched pretty well through two.
And the first pitch to Leake is swung on and missed. Mike is 5 for 27 with a double, an RBI, and one sacrifice this year. And the 0-1 pitch. Make it 0-2. The Cardinals come in 12 games below 500 against teams with a winning record. It's something that we harped on an awful lot after the first month and a half. Cardinals beating up on some of the bottom feeders of the National League, but struggling against some of the better teams that we've seen. The Cubs lost today with John Lackey on the mound. Very interesting to note, since June 20th, that was the start of the series against the Cardinals for the Cubs, their ERA is barely below 6. Their starters have struggled. For instance, Lackey in his last 4, including today, 6.75 ERA. Arrieta in his last 3, ERA near 6. Lester over 6 his last 3. Hamill over 9 his last 3, and Hendricks has been the one that they've been able to count on. But it shows you every team is going to face struggles.
It's a long season. You're going to have those ups and downs. The question is, where do you end up, and how do you trend in late August and September? That's what general managers are trying to figure out right now. What kind of team do I really have right now? The Pirates would be a great example of a team I'm not sure if they're going to get better or get worse.
Strikeout number 3 for this left-hander. 6 is a serious number, and on the run, the Cardinals score 6. Any size drink, just 50 cents. That's coffee, fountain, frozen drinks. When they score, you pour. It's your nearest on the run. You earned it.
The reason I say that about the Pirates, they have used multiple starters. In fact, this left-hander is their 10th starter they've used this season. They've had injuries to Cole. Liriano has not been effective. Locke is up and down. They're really not strong at this point as far as their rotation. They moved Nicasio from the rotation to the bullpen, and they're trying to find the right formula. Unless you get those 5 guys churning, it's hard to compete for a wild card.
Here's the 0-1. Carpenter did not like it. Kia in the driver's seat, looking at all-star selections, most since 2012. The Cardinals with 23, then Baltimore, Detroit, and San Francisco. With Clayton Kershaw out, I was thinking it might be Madison Bumgarner who would get the start for Terry Collins and the National League club. The problem with that, Mad Bum is supposed to start Sunday, and per the rules of the All-Star game, then he's unavailable to pitch. So then you're looking at Steven Strasburg potentially, who's 11-0 and returning to his hometown of San Diego.
Well, Strasburg would be a good choice, but he may have a pitch count of about 8. May have to take him out. Cueto would be another good choice. He's having a nice year. That woke up the Cardinals dugout.
I'm going to take that as a shot towards Scott Boras and pitch counts.
Well, let's just say they've been a little overly cautious with Strasburg. Watch out, Stephen Piscotty.
Here's a 1-2, and Carpenter lifts it down the left field line. It's well hit, and it is a foul ball. Very important day in Major League Baseball history. Larry Doby, who is the first African-American player in the American League after the debut of Jackie Robinson, debuted this date in baseball history with the Cleveland Indians. Signed by Bill Veeck. 1952, he led all of Major League Baseball in home runs. Interesting note about him, first African-American to play pro basketball in the ABL, the precursor to the NBA. So highly decorated athlete. He also served our country in the armed forces and was the second manager, African American manager, and he did that back in the late 70s.
That with Cleveland? Is that who he managed? Huh? That's where he played.
White Sox.
White Sox.
The strikeout of Matt Carpenter. This lefty has struck out 3 of the last 6. Here are the starters in the National League. Cespedes, Harper, Fowler in the outfield. A lot of Cubs. Bryant, Russell, Zobrist, Rizzo, and Buster Posey beat out Yadier Molina behind the plate. Addison Russell with 2 home runs today. 9th multi-home run game this year, hit by a shortstop age 23 or younger. Previously, the record was 5, and there's already 9 of those instances this year. There's some great young shortstops like Aledmys Diaz, Trevor Story, Carlos Correa, Corey Seager. Two balls and 1 strike.
A lot of offense out of those young shortstops.
Pretty amazing how the position has changed. You played with the great Ozzie Smith, and now it's so many offensive players at that position.
Just thinking about that, you can't really develop as a shortstop if you're not going to drive the ball too, be able to knock runs in, hit 300. It's just not about picking it anymore.
So pitch taken low, second walk for Diaz. Power Stats brought to you by Kubota. Take a closer look at Aledmys Diaz most home runs pre-All-Star break. These are the Cardinal rookies all time: Pujols, Boyer, Jablonski, Diaz, and Colby Rasmus. I agree with you. We see Diaz every day. We see the production. We see how much better he's getting in the field. I'm not sure on a national level folks get a chance to see that. And what stands out, you just look at the stat sheet and you say, oh, there's 14 errors.
But the average, the slugging percentage, all of those to me make him an all-star. It's a dangerous at bat.
Sure is.
I'd like to see him steal more.
There he goes. Right on cue. Friar's throw not in time. Stolen base number 3 for Aledmys Diaz. He got a great jump.
Sometimes you get what you want. Not always. But the good speed of Diaz, he's got a good jump. Straight to the bag. Wasn't a bad throw by Eric Friar.
Cardinals went 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position yesterday. They left 10 on. Part of the story in that loss. Good play by Friar there.
You know, you'd like to get in a hitter's head like Matt Holliday and just say, okay, relax. You're an all-star caliber, outstanding player in the major leagues. You know that. Everybody knows that. Just relax and do it. And don't overthink. So easy to say that, but for a player to do that, it's next to impossible.
The 2-1.
The frustration builds up. I missed a hanger. I missed a ball up in the zone. That was my pitch to hit. That's the thinking process that happens when things aren't going well. That's what I think is going on with Andrew McCutchen, who we see in center field. That's how they'll defend Holliday. But McCutchen has tried not using batting gloves, changing his stance, changing his hands, all these things, and sometimes you just have to remember you're good.
The 2-2. We showed you the numbers for Holliday, well below 200 here at home. And that's part of that frustration. The players look at the numbers. They know.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're right in front of you every day.
Yep. Outfield is deep. And a 3-2 pitch. Holliday hits it up the middle. Base hit. Here comes Diaz, and he'll score to make it 2-0 Cardinals. A 2-out RBI single by Holliday. He has driven in 51 this year.
Very Matt Holliday-like, taking the ball up the middle, and if the stolen base doesn't happen, all that is first to third, and the Cardinals need a third hit in the inning. You think speed doesn't matter? Diaz able to get to second base. Now he just has to do the mad dash home. That's why stealing bases matter, and that's why having that guy behind the plate is important, because other teams don't do it.
Ray Searage out to visit. Pitching coach of the Pirates. 2 outs, runner at first, and Piscotty will be the hitter.
I told Ray we were talking about him on the broadcast yesterday. He thought that was hilarious.
Really?
And I said, well, Danny talked about how you're so good at kind of the reclamation projects, making a guy good again and helping him and turning him around. And I said to you on the air that
you needed him.
He should have started with me when we were teammates. And I told him that, and he laughed and he said, well, at the time I was having enough problems with myself. Didn't have time for you. But really a fun teammate, good guy. And he's getting a lot of credit, and I'm all for it in Pittsburgh.
Just saw the shot of Matt Adams, who has moved to the on-deck circle. He would hit for Peralta, so obviously something not right there. Piscotty on the first pitch, pops it up on the infield. Shortstop Mercer. Oh, and he makes the catch. A 2-out RBI base hit into center field by Holiday to drive in Aledmys Diaz after his 3rd stolen base this year. It adds up to a 2-0 St. Louis lead as we head to the 4th. The horn presented by Dobbs, and the change is Adams at first base and Jed Jerko shifting from first to third. Peralta out, obviously dealing with that sore hand, and we find out more. We'll pass it along. Here's Gregory Polanco, rounded out to first. 2, 3, and 4 in the lineup for Pittsburgh, and the Cardinals have a lead of 2-0. Gregory with a pair of home runs in game 1 of this series. He's down on the field and didn't realize just how tall and how big Polanco is, who has been a leadoff man at times in his career and can run very well. Not running well right now because of a sore leg, but he is a big guy, Rick. He's 6'5". Let's turn to Rick's Toyota keys to the game.
We've talked a little bit about this already. Solid defense behind Mike Leake is extremely important. If the defense isn't good, then he has to work much harder, and hard to get 4 outs. Plus, the value of Brian Pena behind the plate is he's going to have to control the running game. He's going to have to do that with Yadi not being in there, and the Pirates love to run. Pena has had some issues throwing, and if the Pirates get a couple of people aboard, I think the game may hinge on that. The defense behind Leake and the running game of the Pirates.
Andrew McCutchen at the plate, takes a ball low. 2-0. The idea when the Cardinals signed Brian Pena was that he would play more than the usual backup here in St. Louis. We'll see if that will be the case as this season goes on. Hit sharply to third. Jerko up with it. Over to Adams. There's 2 down.
The ball finds you. Adams comes in the game. Ball comes to him. Jerko moves to third. Ball comes to him.
There's Starling Marte. Grounded out to first, 0 for 1.
Love to get Yadi more rest, wouldn't you? If you could. You want to see him in there every day, but that's not practical.
First pitch to Marte, taken low. This would be one of the guys that you're talking about that Pena may have issues with, or the Cardinals in general. 24 stolen bases this year. High chopper, left side. Gets it on the short hop. Nice play, Jedd Gyorko.
Ball finds you again.
8-pitch inning again for the second time for Mike Leake. Cardinals in the bottom of the 4th. We check in with Jim Hayes.
Dan, Adam Wainwright's first 8 starts of the season were rough. He had a 6.80 ERA over that stretch. Waino told me he knew the problem all along. He had worked so hard to rehab that torn left Achilles, and he thought it was ready to go, but it wasn't. He told me the small muscles around the Achilles just never got activated. In fact, they did vertical jump testing. He found out his left leg was substantially weaker than the right. That left leg is his plant leg, and it should be stronger than the right. He told me the left leg felt great all along. He just couldn't land properly. It obviously affected his mechanics. Dan, he said he started doing one-legged jumping jacks to strengthen that left leg in the area around the Achilles. Since then, that's when he sees the results starting to improve, and that's where he is now.
Interesting stuff here, Jimmy, and let's follow up on that. So he does admit that there was an issue following the Achilles tear of a year ago.
Yeah, he said, you know, he worked so hard to get that Achilles right, and they did all the testing, and they thought it was. And then he started pitching, and he realized he kept falling to the first base side. Something was wrong with his landing leg, even though it felt great. So they started testing individually against the right. He said they were doing the vertical jump. That left leg was like 8, and the right leg was 15. And he said all the pressures on that left leg, that should be the strong one. So they went back to the drawing board, came up with other things to strengthen that area around the Achilles, and that's when he started to see improvement.
Jim, I think that's fascinating, and we should differentiate between the Achilles being still hurt and just not being strong enough. So when guys talk about structurally it's okay, that's one thing, Dan, but to build the strength back up, that's another thing. Landing legs so important for a pitcher, and I think that makes a lot of sense.
Popped up, Jaso giving chase. That's in fair territory.
Watch out.
And Jerko is safe at first. Bob Davidson with the call. That's the home plate umpire following the runner as the first base umpire makes sure that that ball is either fair or foul.
It's fair. Comes back into fair territory. Jaso has the ball, and Jerko doesn't notice that the pitcher's coming in behind him, and the throw, if it was a split second earlier, might have had it. By the way, on that vertical jump, Wainwright has an 8 with one leg, 15 with the other. I have 1 with each leg. Does that mean I have 2 bad Achilles?
Means you wouldn't be a good basketball player.
Right.
Good stuff from Jim.
No, that's very interesting.
Here's Tommy Pham, and Pham on the first pitch pops it up. Who wants it? Polanco calling off the second baseman Harrison to make the catch. Joe Mueller is here. Megan Mueller, Will, and Mackie Mueller all here at the ballpark. And Will threw out the first pitch, and he threw a strike. And why not? He plays for the St. Louis Gamers, led by our buddy Scott Terry and Scott Cooper, Matt Whiteside.
Great program.
He threw a strike, and we need to sign him up. Teams are looking for pitching.
No question.
Strike to Brian Pena.
A little surprised, Dan, I want to go back to the first ball hit this inning. Matt Adams hit a ball to left field, and we didn't really get a chance to talk about it, but it's the second time in this game where we've seen an outfielder have a hard time picking up a baseball. And I wonder if it's because it's not quite dark yet here in St. Louis, or if it had something to do with the lights. But I thought Marte was going to drop that ball the way he was reacting. Something in the lights in the sky is making it difficult for the Pirates here.
Here's a 1-1 to the switch hitting catcher Brian Pena. Lined into center field, and its first Cardinal hit. Base hit into center, Brian Pena.
There's Marte. He's got his hand up and really had trouble seeing it the whole way, and was very thankful that the ball found the glove. Was shielding something with his throwing hand.
Lights, I guess.
Must be lights. Well, anchors away Brian Pena.
1 for 2 tonight, and it brings in Mike Leake. Runners at first and second. Update on Johnny Peralta, left thumb discomfort. However, the report says it's not related to surgery. Listed as day-to-day. And aren't we all?
Well said.
Leake struck out back in inning number 3. And the 1-0 inside. It's back, Cardinals fans. The refreshing taste of the frozen strawberry lemonade. It's available all summer long, and it's only at McDonald's. And again, Ray Sears is out. Right-hander has been throwing. That's Juan Nicasio in the bullpen for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Krispy Kreme dozen deal. Cardinals get 9 hits tonight. You're invited into Krispy Kreme tomorrow. Receive a dozen of their original glazed donuts for only $3.99. Stop by one of the 4 St. Louis area Krispy Kreme locations, or the locations in Bloomington or Springfield, Illinois, for this sensational deal.
Looks like Ray's getting a little more than 30 seconds on this particular deal.
Isn't it interesting? Every year in any sport, it seems like, well, this is going to be the point of emphasis this year with the rules. Last year it was about stepping out, making sure that batters stay in the box, never see it enforced anymore. This year is the 30-second rule. And the minute that pitching coach or manager steps out onto the field, out of the dugout, the clock starts, and that also has become lax. Now, they may get a letter from the commissioner's office about it, but in terms of it being enforced in the game, you just don't see it.
The letter doesn't mean as much as if you get the letter with the return envelope in it with a check this box. You owe us X amount of dollars.
2-2. Good point.
I got one of those letters once. I should have kept it. $500 I got fined.
For
fighting.
You of all people.
Really, I got thrown on the ground, if you want to call that fighting. Okay, I was fighting.
And did you fight the
fine? Yeah, I did.
Did you win?
Yes, I did. Didn't have to pay it. But I did get the letter.
Next round of golf is on you. Three and two with 2 outs and 2 on.
Curious if we'd get a letter if you and I fought up here.
Get a thank you card.
Maybe so. Well, only one way to find out.
We'll do it again on 3 and 2. The next two, Mike Leake. Struck him out. 5 strikeouts for the lefty in his major league debut, Steven Brault. 2-0 as we head to the 5th. For Mike Leake. Thank you, Scotty. Stanton, by the way, came in to the game tonight 2 for his last 22 against the Mets this year. It's really been an odd season for him. With a nice round of applause for David Freese, and that's tapped foul for strike one.
Hard to imagine Stanton not an all-star. Year after year, you just expect him to be up among the league leaders, and Miami's playing well, and he's not. That's odd. But that's also baseball.
Freese hits it the other way. And this ball is fair. One hops off the wall. David Freese trots in with a double. There's about 25,000 conversations of people saying, hey, remember that triple that was hit off the wall and right?
You talked about the ground ball outs that Leake has had. The only fly ball out came with the first batter of the game. That was Jaso, who drove the ball into right center. Nice play by Piscotty. After that, nothing but in the infield, other than this Freese double to right.
Now a 7-game hitting streak for David Freese, who is 9 for his last 24. Harrison taps it foul.
Harrison fouled one off his leg yesterday. Not unusual that your swing is off a little bit and you do that and you end up hitting the same spot over and over again. Boom, inside. No, that was off his foot. Yesterday was off his shin, so at least he's got 2 different bruises.
Base hit into left center field, and the Pirates get on the board as Freese will score. Harrison, long wide turn around first base. And it's an RBI single to make it a 2-1 Cardinals lead. David Freese with the leadoff double, his 16th of the season, and RBI number 39 off the bat of Harrison.
Short stroke on a ball down and in, lines it in the left center to score Freese. Sofield, no question about sending David. Harrison actually thought about going to second base, and he did what any runner ought to do. Just take a big wide turn and go as far as you can and check to see how the throw is first. You always have time to get back. That's what he did.
Here's Jordy Mercer, grounded out first time up. Pitch count only at 48 for Mike Leake. You mentioned earlier you get to 75 pitches through 6 or 7, you'd be very happy. He's well on his way.
Not even sweating yet, is he?
Now he wants to talk with Brian Pena. Most of Leake's starts have been on the road this year. But usually he gets better as the game goes on. At Lowe's, home field advantage since 2013. The Cardinals at home against Pittsburgh.
Less runs per game at home, but a much better earned run average at home.
Runner goes at Harrison, throw by Pena, and safe. Stolen base for Josh Harrison, number 14, puts him in scoring position.
We knew the Pirates would be off to the races. A decent jump, good jump, in fact, right to the bag. Throw on the money. Harrison actually looked in, which makes you think hit and run. But I do think that was more of a straight seal.
Ground ball hit to the right side. There's Carpenter. Mercer is the first out. This is what the Pirates can do to you, though, with their speed and athleticism. You get the single, stole a base, hit it to the right side. We could have a tie game here momentarily.
Stolen base led to a run for the Cardinals in the 3rd inning, and the Pirates are hoping to repay the favor in the 5th inning.
On 24 games with the Cardinals, Eric Fryer hit .368 with 5 driven in. Infield is brought in with the former backup of St. Louis.
Interesting, there's no one in the on deck circle, and that's a rule. You have to have somebody there. Good pitch, sinking down and in on the hands. Matt Joyce now coming to the on deck circle.
Fryer, base hit past Diaz, and we're tied up at 2-2. His 6th RBI this year.
such a good at bat. You just put the ball in play with an infield in, and you're bound to find a hole. That's what he does. That's a ground ball to short in normal situation with the shortstop back, but because you've got to play in to guard against that run scoring, ends up being an RBI.
Brings in Matt Joyce. He was a pinch hitter yesterday and singled, hitting .345 overall in his last 13 games. 11 for 29 as a pinch hitter this year, leading all of baseball in pinch hit home runs with 4, 13 RBIs, hits and runs scored. He's really found a home in this role.
So the major league debut of Steven Brault includes 4 innings, just 1 earned run of the 2 that he gave up, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. He threw 82 pitches and picked up his first major league hit. Not a bad day for the young lefty. And he is no longer the pitcher of record. I'd say successful, and he can breathe now.
Here's an 0-1 pitch. Instead, time is called. On their bench, they have Joyce, Frazier, Sean Rodriguez, Gung, and the backup catcher, Eric Kratz. That ball gets by Pena. Puts Fryer in scoring position.
Like a breaking ball, it is. It's a breaking ball. It just gets under the glove of Pena, who went at that a bit awkwardly. Wasn't able to block it. Now you really have to bear down if you're Mike Leake.
1 ball, 1 strike. Interesting that Clint Hurdle would use Joyce this early in the game, at that time with a runner at first. Now with a runner at second, it makes all the sense in the world.
Thinking the same thing. I wonder if he thought about pulling him and maybe trying a plan B, maybe using Frazier instead. Frazier a bit more of a utility guy that can do and play multiple positions, so that may be why he wants to save him and keep him in the game and not burn him early. Joyce is basically not that guy. He's an outfielder. That's what he does. But Frazier plays the infield and the outfield both.
A 3-1 pitch. Jung Ho Gung dealing with some off the field issues that were made public today, so you're wondering if he was even at the ballpark, and he is. We just saw him. Kratz, your backup catcher. Rodriguez is all over the place in terms of their defense late in games. A 3-2 pitch. Ground ball. There's Carpenter. And Adams is on the bag. Nick Leyva is saying he's off, and we'll have another potential review of this play.
Is his toe on the bag? I'm not sure. And neither is Clint Hurdle. One of the things we learned really early on is that the ball has to be in the back of the glove. When we first learned and talked about this replay, that was one of the things we questioned, Danny, is when do you actually catch the ball? Is it when it's in the in between, say, the webbing or the edges of your glove, and it just entered into your glove, or does it have to be in the back of your glove? And we were told it needs to be in the back of your glove, and time again that comes up in replay situations, trying to determine best where the ball is relative to the foot.
And in this case, it looked like the toe was off the bag.
Now, yeah, I would say so.
Joyce should be safe. Then the question becomes, is that an error on Carpenter?
I think it would be. I think this is going to get overturned. I don't think there's much question about that, which means the Leak is going to have to face the top of the order with just one out and runners at first and third in a 2-2 game. So this is an important part of the game, an important call. I don't think it's going to go the Cardinals' way. And Mike Leake's going to have to stand around and wait for the outcome and then make some good pitches. Yeah, I think he's off the bag. I'd like to think he's on, but I don't think he is. Mike Leake is going to start throwing some pitches here to make sure he's ready and loose.
So the Pirates will have runners at first and third and only one out. Brings in Jaso, who's 0 for 2. Ground ball. Adams has a play to the plate. Run down with Fryer in it. High throw by Pena. And Fryer does his job by staying in this rundown. By doing that, Jaso gets to second and Joyce over to third.
That was a poorly executed rundown for multiple reasons. A good rundown is one throw, and then Matt Adams should never throw the ball at the end because there's already a guy he's standing at third base, so just run him back. This throw is a bit too high and early. Then now that Adams has it, there's a runner at third, so you just run him back to the bag. You don't have to throw that ball. He's out. There's already a guy there. You're running him back. Just have him move back to the bag, tag one of them, and move on. So an extra throw, almost costly there. They did rule that as an error, by the way, on Matt Carpenter.
So that's number 10 on Carpenter, and here's Polanco. First pitch is strike.
Still did the right thing to get the lead runner. That's the good thing. The rundown just not handled very well.
2 outs, 2 on. The 0-1 pitch. Now it's 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes on Polanco. And he struck him out. Second strikeout for Mike Leake. However, the Pirates tie it up. It's now 2-2 as we head to the bottom of inning number 5. Molina's, it's almost like he's a baseball savant. He's ahead of many even at this level in his smarts in the game. We flash back to 2010.
This is Trevor Miller, and we have a similar play where there's a runner caught off at third. That's David Freese, by the way. That's Molina with the ball. There's a runner at third already, so you can just run him back to the bag. Now what you do is you tag the behind runner, the guy coming in from second, hoping you can get the lead runner to get off the base, then you tag him also. What you're trying to do is deceive the runners into thinking that the wrong guy is out. That was LaRoche's bag, not McCutchen's. But he tagged McCutchen hoping he could get, or he tagged LaRoche hoping he could get him to come off the bag. Then he tagged him again. Then he was really out.
I'm with you. When it happened, it was an amazing play by Molina. Good stuff from our truck and Brian McCann. Juan Nicasio is our new pitcher. Chevy called to the pen. Anytime that play happens, I think about that particular play in Pittsburgh and how it all unfolded.
Tommy Herd did that many times. And it takes a smart player that is thinking ahead to do that exactly. You have to be ready for it. You have to understand the rule. The replay or the rundown that we just saw went 3-2-5, 3-6-4 for those of you scoring at home, which means too many throws, and it also means we got Matt Carpenter in the act.
Should not have been involved in that play.
I'm glad he was.
One ball, one strike on Carpenter, who was grounded out to second and struck out swinging back in the third. Pulls it foul. Highest OPS leadoff hitter since 1914. On base plus slugging percentage.
We haven't talked about Earl Coombs in a long time.
That's our BJC difference maker.
I'm going to say never. He was on the 27 Yankees, I believe.
1-2 pitch. Misses in. And the 2-2. Carpenter strikes out for the second time tonight. Haven't seen that very often where he chases a pitch out of the zone. The Chevy Fox strikes.
The good hitters normally don't. They recognize right away it's not a pitch in the zone. We saw very good off-speed pitches from Nicasio in last night's game. 3 strikeouts. They were just trying to bridge to a bullpen that would not include either Watson or Melanson last night. They were both unavailable. In fact, so was Schugel. So 3 pitchers unavailable in the game last night. That's why we saw who we saw. Everybody's ready tonight. Pirates have a self-imposed rule not to use pitchers 4 days in a row. Trying to abide by that.
Brings in Aledmys Diaz, who has walked twice and scored. Diaz with 34 extra base hits. Only Albert Pujols had more as a Cardinal rookie before the All-Star break. Incredible. Outfield is straight away, and the 1-2 pitch puts it in play. Slowly hit to the right side. He'll beat it out. He's safe. Aledmys Diaz with his 18th infield hit this year. 18 of them.
I'm not sure which was more impressive, the hustle of Diaz or the attempt by Harrison to make this play. There's Diaz out of the box running hard, and the off-balance flip barehanded by Harrison, all in one motion with a dive and a close play that goes the Cardinals' way. Terrific defensive effort by Harrison. Now I need to say it again. Sure would like to see Diaz steal more bases.
He did that back in the third. Came around to score on a base hit by Holiday. That was his 3rd stolen base of the year.
Pirates heard me say that.
So once again, all the infield hits. Diaz with 18, Marte with 18. Villar of Milwaukee, who leads the National League in stolen bases. Cargo, and then Hernandez. One out runner at first. That's Aledmys Diaz, and the first pitch to Holliday. Taken inside. Hyundai pitch arsenal here on the right-hander. Juan Nicasio features a fastball about 70% of the time, slider, and the change.
Fastball up to 94 miles an hour we've seen. Not a bad hit and run possibility right here. You're ahead in the count. Diaz already has shown he can run.
Hit out of play, 1 ball, 1 strike. A disturbing trend for the Cardinals against the Pirates this year. The amount of strikeouts, and already 6 here tonight, 5 by their starter making his major league debut. Tonight being the 11th game the two teams have faced each other. And in those 11 games, the Cardinals have struck out 107 times. You average it out, it's about a strikeout every 4th batter in the game. Here's a 1-1. And Holliday's hit by the pitch near his left hand and wrist.
Ball just ran in on Holliday. Please don't hit the elbow. Looked like it hit the forearm. Still hurts. You just hope that it misses the tip of the elbow. Very tender area there. A little bit better that it hit the forearm, but still, that's 90 miles an hour. And that'll bruise. Ooh, actually has already. It's going to obscure his tattoo a bit.
Brings in Piscotty. Piscotty got all the way to third base after a drop by Polanco in right near the wall. Came in to score in the RBI by Jerko. Runners at first and second with 1 out. Not saying it's a bad move. I'm just curious if you were a little bit surprised that Stephen Brault only went 4 innings here tonight.
Well, you alluded to the possibility only because he hadn't done it the last couple of times out, and you also look at the fact that he is coming back a few starts after injury and hasn't had a lot of minor league innings this year, really, and that makes it make a little more sense.
I know a lot of fans are always curious about tattoos and where they come from, the meaning behind those. Holliday's tattoo is, "Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me if you understand." It's a Bible verse, and that's why he has it on his arm. Now it's got a little hump in it, so you got to go up the hump to read it.
So you'll have to look up that verse, which I believe is in Job.
It is.
Because that one's a little smudgy right now.
A strike to Piscotty. That got black and blue in a hurry.
Sure did.
One ball, 2 strikes on Stephen Piscotty, one of the game's best with runners in scoring position. In the dirt. Go back to his grand slam over the weekend and just the adjustment he made on a 3-2 pitch and how he thinks along with how the opposition is trying to get him out.
Well, Jim Hayes did a terrific interview with him, and he talked about the fact that when the pitcher is dealing with a bases loaded situation, he is in a more difficult position than I am at the plate. He doesn't want to throw the ball in the dirt, so he's not going to really amp up on his breaking pitch. He's not going to want to walk me, so I'm in the driver's seat. I think that's a great way to look at it.
2-2 is popped up. Infield fly as Harrison makes the catch. Runners advance at their own risk with the infield fly. So there's 2 outs, and it brings in Adams. Fly to left. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Along with Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jim Hayes is here. In a 2-2 game here in the bottom of the 5th. Interesting shift here that you see with the Pirates. You know, they expect him to pull, but they really expect him to pull with the way that Harrison is near the line.
The shortstop is on the left side of second base, and that's a bit different with Matt Adams. Teams are understanding that he is hitting some balls the other way, but with the second baseman deep, Harrison throws well. They just believe that he can play deeper and still throw out Matt Adams. So he wants more range, which you get with playing deeper.
0-2.
Dan, this game, big picture, can't be any more even right now as the Cardinals are batting at the bottom of the 5th inning. And when you think about an even game halfway through, the statement we always make is that this game will be decided by the bullpen. And the Pirates have Melancon at the end. The Cardinals are trying to figure out what they're doing 7, 8, and 9.
0-2 in the dirt and blocked by Fryer in a very nice play. That just keeps one man in scoring position, not 2.
Overcooks this one a little bit. There's Fryer in good position. Not really your prototypical catcher, as we had a chance to visit with him quite a bit. He's not a big guy. Moves around very well behind the plate. Cardinal fans know went to Mike Matheny's high school in Ohio.
Reynoldsburg, Ohio native. And the 1-2 pitch to Adams. And he struck him out. Nicasio strikes out 2. The Cardinals have left 6 on in this game. We're tied up. It's 2-2 as we head to the 6th. Sunday, July 17th, the 2006 Mystery Jersey Day, presented by AT&T. 30,000 fans ages 16 and older receive an adult Cardinals jersey featuring the name and number, one of the 5 players from that championship team. And you can get those tickets at cardinals.com/promotions. There's a base hit into center field. McCutchen, his second hit, and he's 2 for 3 tonight.
I had a thought when he had that base hit in the first inning. You don't want to be the team where he discovers his swing again and gets hot. That's bound to happen for McCutchen. He's too good a player. You just don't want to be the team that feels the wrath of him being down for week after week. He got picked off to end the first inning. He's going to want to run again. Marte trying to get a little verbal cue or nonverbal cue from McCutchen whether he's going to run or not.
You bring up a really good point there too. The game within the game and how a hitter approaches the potential of a stolen base. Do you take a pitch or two? Do you allow that runner to get a read? Are you aggressive early on?
You'd love to hit with a runner in scoring position. That's one way to look at it. But you'd also, if he throws a fastball right down the middle, you'd love to smoke that too. So you've got to make that choice. And with nobody out, my guess is McCutchen's going to be aggressive here.
Not running on the first pitch, and the ball gets through Pena. Well, don't worry about it now.
Not really crossed up, just missed it. Flips the glove over. He's trying to pull it up into the zone, and it just hits off the end of his glove. Clearly a pass ball.
First start with Mike Leake on the mound. Remember that inning against Kansas City, and it was ugly for the Cardinals defensively. He made 3 errors in that game last time out. Pena struggled. Here's a 1-0. So the last game was against Kansas City, and Brian Pena making his first start for the Cardinals. That one into left field, and he had some issues. There's no doubt about it. Anybody can see that in the league, and they're watching the video. They know.
Well, the throws that he made early on, that one of them resulted in an unearned run for Leake before he'd even given up a hit. There was an error to get a runner aboard, a 2-base error, then a 2-base error, and barely underway and already down 1-0. You need, obviously, we talked about in our keys to the game, Leake is successful when the defense is good behind him, and that includes behind the plate, every infielder, the outfielders, but you just can't give away extra outs when Mike Leake is pitching.
He struck out 2 tonight. And the 1-2 pitch to Marte. It's it to the right side. Taken there by Carpenter. So like we talked about before, the Pirates doing little things to put runners at third. The final 5 that you can vote for: Brandon Belt, Ryan Braun, Jake Lamb, Starling Marte, Trevor Story. The all-star final vote. That's the final spot on the roster, determined by the fans at MLB.com. Infield in for David Freese.
I would think Marte would get a lot of votes for that, or should.
Who do you like out of that those 5?
Well, I like Marte. I think Trevor Story is going to be an attractive vote because of the early start that he had, but his numbers in my mind not as good as Diaz. Diaz should be on that list in my mind, but because he's not, I like Story and Marte.
Breaking ball taken high. I would say that Ryan Braun is not the most popular of players. That's going to hurt him.
Agreed.
The 2-0 pitch. Chopped up the middle. Base hit. David Freese. Pirates go on top. It's now 3-2. Second time the Cardinals played the infield in, and a seeing eye base hit into center field. This time David Freese, as he drives in his 36th. He's got 2 hits tonight. 3-2 Pittsburgh.
It's been a game of manufacturing runs, and the Pirates have been just a little bit better. Advance to second on the pass ball, move him over to third, infield in, and just as Fryer did earlier, past a diving Diaz in the center.
Brings in Harrison. Freese not a threat to steal, you wouldn't think. That's driven out to center field. Over to get it is Tommy Pham. Makes the catch. And back to the bag at first goes Freese, and there's 2 down.
Not many balls hit hard off of Mike Leake. That ball was hit hard for sure, but it stands out as different because Leake has not really been allowing them to square it up, but they still have found a way to put 3 runs on the board.
You know, another player on that list that does not get enough recognition, at least not right now, is Jake Lamb. Lamb leads the National League in slugging percentage, second in OPS. He's had a great year. Jordy Mercer 0 for 2, pair of groundouts. Freese, your runner at first base, and that's driven into the gap in left center field. Holiday over to cut it off. They'll hold up Freese at third base, and it's a double for Mercer. 3 hits in the inning. The former Cardinals tonight, David Freese 2 for 3, a run, RBI, and Eric Fryer 1 for 2 with an RBI.
Another ball hit hard off of Mike Leake, but the route that Holiday takes to run this ball down in left center was important. Took a direct route to the ball, got it in quickly. I thought when that ball was hit that there was a chance of that getting into the deep gap and perhaps being an RBI double, but it's a first to third trip only for David Freese, who doesn't run that well, but Holiday still doesn't get enough credit for the smart way he plays defense. Not ready to give him a gold glove, not saying that, but I think he's a smart defender and works hard at it.
Well, you either deal with Fryer here or Frazier, who has moved to the on-deck circle. He would be the pinch hitter. First base is open, runners at second and third.
Not very deep in the outfield for Fryer. Hasn't really shown power this season. Short stroke.
1-0 is hit out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And I think it makes sense to pitch to Fryer.
Agreed. If you're Mike Leake, you've got to be able to get the 8th place hitter, and in this case it's Eric Fryer, who, yeah, he hit well in limited time with the Cardinals, but there was a reason he spent the majority of his career in the minor leagues. The 1-1 pitch.
Leake tried to get him to chase. That little cutter he's throwing, and he's gotten hit a couple of times with it by leaving it over the plate. Tried for the outside corner and just missed it there.
Here's a 2-1. Fryer, a little flare down the right field line, a fair ball. Eric Fryer has come back to Busch Stadium to haunt his former club as he's in safely at second base. 2-run score, and the Pirates go up by the score of 5-2. Eric is now 12 for 21 this season here at Busch Stadium.
A little vindication for Fryer, who had no real ill will towards the Cardinals, but you still like to come back and get the job done with a team that let you go, and wasn't hit particularly hard, but well placed. Pirates have picked up 3 in the inning already.
And Fryer with 3 driven in. So they'll pull back Frazier. Nicasio will hit for himself. And the Pirates leading by the score of 5-2.
I wondered in the back of my mind whether the Pirates might pull Frazier had the Cardinals walked Fryer, pulled the pinch hitter, and let Nicasio hit because they need the innings from it.
Something to think about, certainly.
I'm not sure that that's true. In fact, I don't think it's true, but it's one of the options that a manager has. One of the games you can play to try to force the other manager's hand. I still think it was the right idea to pitch to Fryer. I just think it would have been a better idea to get him out.
We talked about this too with Eric Fryer. He runs well. Take out the fact that he's a catcher. Just point blank, he runs well, and turn that into a double. The 1-2 pitch. And a strikeout. Baseball is brought to you by Bud Light Live and by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals jumped out to a 2-0 lead, now trail 5-2 as we move to the bottom of the 6th. Second inning of work for Juan Nicasio, and the story has been the former Cardinals, Freese and Fryer. They have driven in 4 of the 5 runs tonight.
Speaking of former Cardinals, there's a few at the ballpark. We've already seen Tony La Russa, Red Schoendienst at the park, as is often the case. Red's always here. Always great to see Red. Tom Lawless at the ballpark today. Saw Kenny Reitz. And there's probably a few more. There normally is.
Tom was managing for a number of years in the minor league system for Houston. Then was promoted to the big league club after one of their recent firings. And currently he is not managing any team. We're scouting or roving.
Working with a youth baseball team here in St. Louis. Knows a lot about the game of baseball.
Is he teaching bat flips?
No one could do it better except for maybe Batista.
Yeah. Here's a 1-1 to Jerko.
Can he reach the smooth glove? Red, the Hall of Famer.
The 2-1 pitch to Jed Jerko on its way. Jerko tonight single to left on an 0-2 pitch. Drove in Stephen Piscotty for his 19th RBI. And also a bloop base hit. He's 2 for 2.
Cardinals need one of those big innings, don't they? Just a breakout inning. Get the feel goods back. We've seen him do it. It's been a while, but we've seen him do it where you get to the 6th or 7th inning and then it's just a slugfest. You would not expect that to happen against the Pirates, but it could. Cardinals certainly have the capability of doing that. But they're missing Moss now on the DL.
What's interesting is to see guys like Volquez, Chris Young, Jonathan Neese yesterday come in all with ERAs over 5 and then walk away with their team winning in their starts. The 2-2 put into play, hit to short. Mercer, gloves, one away. Reminder, the 06 championship team has a reunion weekend coming up presented by Budweiser. Also, the Marlins will be here. Ichiro at last check 10 hits shy of 3,000. So a chance to see those that made history and someone that might make history here at the ballpark. Anybody you want to see from that team that we haven't seen in a while?
I saw a lot of them this offseason, which was fun. A chance to see David Eckstein. Always good to see him. I like to see him every time he's around. Jeff Suppan.
How about Jeff Weaver? We haven't heard a lot about Jeff Weaver. We see his brother Jared pitching with the Angels. His fam hits it out of play.
That's why I love watching those scenes of those moments, and you see Vizcaíno and Ronnie Belliard, and names you just don't think about very often.
That was the other one, Ronnie Belliard. I'm curious to see him. Belliard had the great play in San Diego that set the tone for that postseason run.
Saw Aaron Miles this offseason.
Scott Spezio had the hit that put the Cardinals in that postseason against Milwaukee. Three balls, one strike. And Pham draws a walk. The prospect camp is happening right now for the St. Louis Blues. It's open to the public. Scrimmages every afternoon. Camp starts, or did start today, and goes through Friday, July 8th at the St. Louis Outlet Mall. Details at stlouisblues.com. Cardinals have received 3 walks today. They have struck out 7 times. As Pena lifts a fly ball out of play.
We haven't talked much about Brian Pena as a hitter, but one thing, you look at his numbers, he's been consistently a .270 hitter. He's a good, solid, big league hitter. Hits from both sides. Had his first hit as a Cardinal right-handed. And he's a big guy, but he's not a power guy. You're more of a singles hitter, doubles hitter. But over the course of most seasons, he's going to give you a .270 average.
Here's an 0-1 pitch to Pena. Stroked a single last time up. The Cardinals in the 10 games, this is number 11 against Pittsburgh. In 10 of them, they have struck out 10 or more times in 7 of them. And in one of the other games that they did not get to 10, they were at 9. It was a rough first 3 games of the regular season in Pittsburgh. One ball, one strike on Brian Pena. Tommy Pham, your runner at first base, leaning towards second. Pena hits a slow roller to the right side. Jaso to Nicasio, finds the bag for the out. Thought about getting the lead man, and then he got the sure out. You know, Bruce Bochy has the biggest head in baseball. Well, that hat for John Jaso probably could fit Bruce Bochy.
I think that's probably true. He said he found the bag, but he found it on the 3rd try. 1, 2. Oh, there it is. 2 tries. I wonder what size hat he does have. I will find that out tomorrow. I bet Jim Hayes could get right on that. Between the two of us, we'll work it out.
Okay.
Because I can tell you're curious.
It's just killing me at night. Greg Garcia, the pinch hitter for Leake. Showing bunt with 2 outs. So Garcia pinch hitting for Leake. Leake gives the Cardinals 6 innings in this ball game. As you mentioned, not a lot of hard hit balls against him.
I'm normally not a fan, Dan, of bunting with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position, but that's a compliment that Garcia is giving to Matt Carpenter. If I can get on base, and maybe he can change this game with 1 swing of the bat. The old rule of thumb is guy in scoring position, drive him in. Don't pass it off to somebody else. But when the somebody else is a National League All-Star who also has power, it makes a little more sense.
Archimedes Caminero throwing in the pen for Pittsburgh. Tyler Lyons for St. Louis. Garcia hits a ground ball to Jaso. He'll take it himself. And the Cardinals have left 7 on. We head to the 7th, and Pittsburgh on top of the lead of 5-2. Of baseball presented by T-Mobile. Big injury there for the Royals. Wade Davis, right forearm strain. John Lackey today against Cincinnati in a loss, 9-5 his line. And Baltimore, they have lost 5 straight. Lead the Red Sox by 2 games in the American League East. Lackey, by the way, has not won since June 8th. And the Orioles taking on a very hot Dodgers team. LA has won 5 straight and 15 of their last 20 overall. So our Chevy called to the pen, and it takes us to the left-hander Tyler Lyons. Here's Sean Rodriguez. He'll lead it off, and the first pitch is a strike.
Lone lefty right now in the Cardinals bullpen. His job just became more important, or his role became more important. He's going to have to serve a bunch of them, in fact. Lefty late, situational lefty. He's already a guy that's a multiple innings guy out of the pen, and Tyler's going to be busy. I wonder if there might be a point where we see Kiefer again, if will take a while for Segrist to be ready, and we hope that that's not a long time for Segrist. As Cardinal fans probably have heard, he is on the disabled list. He has mononucleosis, and an important part of the Cardinals bullpen, and Lyons is going to have to fill some pretty big shoes for a while.
Strikeout of Rodriguez, and that's how we start play here in the 7th. Plaza Tires Fox Tracks. Strikeout for Lyons.
There's the spin of the breaking ball. It's up in the zone a little bit, but it broke well. It had a sharp break to it. And I think as time goes on, Dan, we're going to start reporting more often break and angles of pitches, not just velocity and location. Is the break, and that's available. We're working on developing a better way to communicate that, but the angles of curveballs and how much break it has over the distance from the mound to home plate is part of why a pitch is effective, especially the late break.
Here's Gregory Polanco. For you, being a former major leaguer and pitching coach, what's the key to a good curveball?
Well, curveball, you have to have your fingers on top of the ball. If your fingers come underneath the ball, it's a spinner, and you're backing up a base somewhere, and you're going to find an elbow surgeon. But that's a really good breaker. His fingers are on top, and he's pulling down, almost a sense of throwing the front of the baseball. The spin, fingers on top, downward spin. Pretty tight spin there. A little bit more of a slur of that particular pitch. Whoa. Nasty there.
He's got a good one.
He does, and it breaks late. The knuckle curve, an even tighter spin. Polanco almost bit.
One-two pitch. Lifts a fly ball out to left, backing up Holiday, and he makes the catch. So 2 quick outs for Tyler Lyons here in the 7th, and it brings in Andrew McCutchen. McCutchen with a run scored, 2 base hits. He was picked off back in the 1st. Two outs, nobody on, and the first pitch taken for a strike. So Lyons in the 9th spot in this lineup for the Cardinals, and you could see multiple innings out of him tonight. Back to Tyler. Time to stretch. And due up, it's Matt Carpenter at the top of the lineup. Cardinals trying to come back as they trail 5-2. And congratulations to number 13, signed for $1,000. Today he found out he's a 3-time All-Star. from Pittsburgh. Top of the lineup for St. Louis: Carpenter, Diaz, Holiday, Archimedes, Caminero, our Chevy Cole to the pen. Saw him yesterday, hard thrower. This has been a good acquisition as Rodriguez takes over at first base. Caminero was left for anybody to get. Pirates picked him up after he was released by Miami.
When he first came to the Pirates, Clint Hurdle was telling me about Caminero and saying, where do you see this guy throw? His velocity is tremendous, and we think he's just going to get better and better. And I think that's happened so far, and he may even have a bigger upside. He may be a closer of the future, an inning and a third with a strikeout yesterday.
This is our Gateway Honda home run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. That pitch at 97. Can't teach that.
No.
It's God-given. But there is a difference between being a thrower and a pitcher. And Clint Hurdle was telling us that last year with Caminero. Trying to teach him to think through at bats, not just rear back and throw it. Guys at this level will pound you if you do that. You got to spot the ball.
Pitcher has to have an idea of how he wants to attack a hitter that involves changing eye level and changing speed and varying movement. And you can tell when a guy is pitching, he has an idea of what he's doing. It might not work, but he has an idea. And when a pitcher's struggling and you're just throwing the baseball and you don't have any idea, you're not really a pitcher at that point. You're a thrower. A lot of guys in the minor leagues are exactly that. I mean, a lot of them. I mean, you go to watch a minor league game, you're going to see talent, but you're going to see guys that, if you break it down, you're not sure exactly what they're trying to do.
Carpenter didn't like that check swing going against him and hits a ground ball to second base, slams his bat, and he's out. The All-Star game can be seen on Fox. It's coming up. That'll be a week from tonight. 6:30 on Fox and Fox Sports Go. Cardinals GM John Mozeliak was saying the other day he was looking through the minor league reports and he looked at one of the low minor league games and he said, we forget. And he said, I realize we have not played great defense this year, but we forget how hard this game is at this level. Where if a team commits 2 or 3 errors, yeah, it stands out. In the game that he was looking at the stats, there were 12 errors committed in the game. And he said, that's routine in the minor leagues. You see it all the time.
But you see flashes of brilliance.
You do see that.
And that's why it's so hard to scout a minor league game. I see it all the time where a scout will come in and say, wow, that guy looks great. And maybe a team that you've been watching for a week and you say, well, come back tomorrow.
Diaz with a fly ball into right for out number 2. Polanco puts it away. Our crowd tonight, 41,444. 41444. Best way to get your seats, StubHub. Best seat for your buck. Palmer Road. Get the StubHub app. Caminero's gotten the first 2. His ERA on the road is 1.93. At home, it's 4.67. Pitch number 8 of the inning. Taken inside by Holiday, who was hit by a pitch back in the 5th. You could see even in that shot there.
Still see the knot, can't you?
It's pretty swollen right around the elbow on the forearm.
The quite sizable forearm, I might add.
Indeed.
A little bit hard to tell the difference between what's muscle and what's a big bruise, but he's got one.
The 1-1 pitch. What you get concerned about is later tonight, sleeping, waking up tomorrow. Can he extend that left arm? Does it swell up to the point that you can't get extension with the bat?
Brandon Moss finished a game, came back today, and was on the disabled list. I'm not saying that's going to happen with Holiday, but to your point, after you've been out a bit, you don't know how you're going to react overnight and how you'll feel the next day.
Nice catch by Fryer. He's done a little bit of everything here today. He's driven in 3, makes a nice play there. And a 1-2-3 inning for Caminero. Sends us to the 8th. The Pirates on top. It's now 5-2. It's our Chevy call to the pen, and Trevor Rosenthal is into the ball game. This will be his 34th appearance of the year. ERA is near 6. And it's fouled back. 1 ball, 1 strike on Marte. Well, what do you make of Trevor Rosenthal's year so far? Take the numbers out. What are you seeing?
Well, seeing a guy that's struggling to get command of his fastball, and that's leading him in bad directions to where he's pitching behind and then having to make pitches over the hard plate and getting hurt by it. And I don't see a guy that's hurt. I don't see a guy whose stuff is worse, but he just doesn't have command. And if you say command is part of your stuff as a pitcher, and you can get an argument about that with pitching coaches, then yes, his stuff is off, because his ability to pinpoint the fastball is not there, and walks kill you, especially late in the game.
The 2-1 pitch. Been saying that a lot too. 2-0, 2-1, 3-1. And when you have that, all of a sudden you're looking at fastballs, and you're looking at hitters counts, and we were talking about Caminero a moment ago, how hard he throws, and that's great. However, these guys can turn around a fastball with the best of them. And a fly ball lifted into shallow right, and it drops in for a base hit.
And sometimes when it rains, it pours. Nothing goes your way. A jam shot ends up being a hit. And you're standing on the mound thinking, boy, here we go again. And that's the worst thought you can have as a pitcher. So much of this game is mental, more than we probably give it credit for. We talk about the physical attributes of these guys, and they're the best in the world. But part of being best in the world is what goes on between the ears.
And it brings in David Freese. Pitch out nearly to the backstop, and that's ball one. I think you're also seeing the loss of a lot of confidence with a guy that went out there and seemed like when right there wasn't anybody he couldn't get out.
That's part of the between the ears part of this game.
Runner goes, and it's hit out of play. AT&T high-speed replays. The Pirates tonight and the former Cardinals have done some damage. David Freese. There's Josh Harrison. And then Eric Fryer with 3 RBIs. AT&T high-speed replays.
We can blame another former Cardinal, Nick Leyva, for waving him around. Well, he's had a part in it.
Yep.
Could have stopped him.
One ball, one strike on Freese.
Three-run game. You have to keep running if you're the Pirates.
The 1-1 running again. Pena's throw to second, not in time. Stole a base for Marte. That is number 25.
Decent jump, high throw. Marte hard to get under any circumstances. One of the National League's best right now.
Matt Adams way off the line at first base. Cardinals know how to play David Freese. Saw it so many times just how well he goes to the opposite field. And Piscotty is near the line and right. Don't see Steven play that deep or that close to the line very often.
He's very deep. Again, the power of David Freese. Diaz was trying to sneak behind Marte, and Rosie didn't see him, but a good pitch there on the outside corner.
Strikes out Freese. 2 for 4 tonight. In steps Harrison.
Don't be surprised if Marte doesn't try to take third. Trevor is paying less attention to Marte than Diaz is, the shortstop. Diaz understands that he may want to run again, get to third base with 1 out. And he's given up the shortstop hole to keep him close. There's a big hole on the left side right now, but he has to do what he can to keep Marte close to second.
And a fly ball that's hit out of play. Strike 1 on Harrison. Single to left center, stole the base, scored a run back in inning number 5. That inning the Pirates picked up 2, the 3 more in the 6th.
You ready for the answer?
I'm ready.
7 7/8.
For Jaso. Is that right? How did you find that out? You didn't go down and ask him how big his head is now with that lovely flowing hair that he has?
I just have ways.
Wow.
Inquiring minds want to know. You wanted to know, and now I told you. Are you happy?
I'm very happy.
Not sure what Bochy's is.
8.
Is it?
I think so. I'm sure you'll find that out too very quickly. Your amazing talent to figure out how big somebody's hat size is. 7 and 7/8, huh? Ground ball hit up the middle. Diaz to his left. Nice play. How smooth was that?
What was smooth was the transition from glove to hand. That happened almost instantaneously. He's on the move. He goes from glove to hand in the blink of an eye and gets himself ready to throw. That's just athleticism. That'd be an easy play to botch.
Very easy, as you mentioned, with the transition. So with 2 outs, pitch slowly hit up the first base line.
And the answer is 8.
I'm going to get to that in a moment. First, Rocket Arms. Presented by Quicken Loans. Barraclough was the former Cardinal minor leaguer.
Right. Kelly we saw with Washington. Big fastball from him. Trevor on that list.
Bruce Bochy, size 8. So I was right.
You were.
Sleep easy tonight. Where are you getting this inside intel? Go ahead. I'm all ears.
Just like Woodward and Bernstein, I'm not going to tell you. I have my sources.
So who had the biggest hat of a guy that you played with?
Actually, Bob Guerin had a big hat. Who is
The former manager?
the former manager, who's a bench coach now
Oakland, maybe?
in L.A.
That's right.
He was the manager in Oakland. He was with the Mets last year.
Right.
Championship season for them, National League champions.
You know, it's not easy to get a size 8. I'm being serious.
Agreed.
It's hard to find those. And your inflated ego, it's very hard.
Oh, I didn't see that coming.
It's on a tee. I had to do it. Two-two pitch. Mercer, fly ball. Shallow right center. And Pham has it. Scoreless inning for Trevor Rosenthal. 5-2 Pittsburgh. 5-2. We're in the bottom of the 8th here in St. Louis at Busch Stadium. MLB at bat. Follow the Cardinals wherever you may be. Just download the app, MLB.com at bat. Chevy call to the pen. Texas 2. Tony Watson, by his standards, this year has been a little off, but still one of the better lefties to come out of any pen.
Well, I think he's one of the best left-hander relievers in the National League, if not the best. When the game's on the line, I'd want him in. He's been an all-star. And what you like about Watson is his ability. He can get lefties out, righties out. It really doesn't matter. He's just nasty.
Very much like Kevin Siegrist.
Exactly.
The interesting thing about Siegrist is Piscotty is the hitter. You have mono. I had it. I'm not sure if you've ever had mono.
I have not, no.
A lot of times you're going to lose a lot of weight potentially, right, but also you're just very weak depending how severe the case is. And when you come back, you're not back to form right away.
So to say 15 days out and who knows how long he has to deal with it, it may.
You just don't know.
No. And it does explain a lot of the symptoms that Kevin Siegrist had been talking about and dealing with the last few weeks.
He told Jim Hayes last week he thought it may have been allergies or just a cold. He wasn't sure what was going on.
And at one point he thought it coincided with the day, and Mike Matheny shared this in his post-game press conference a couple of nights ago. He said there was a day where he had a lot kind of got overcooked in the sun. He thought maybe he was overheated, and that led to it.
Ground ball that's hit to third. That's fair. Freeze. Tough play. Rodriguez nifty at the bag at first.
So it really wasn't any of those things. It was mono, and the Cardinals need Kevin Siegrist.
Our Budweiser What's on Tap, looking at game number 3 of this 4-game series. Couple of lefties, Jeff Locke and Jaime Garcia, will come your way at 6:30. And a reminder that Thursday is a day game here at the ballpark.
Is everybody in the National League a left-handed pitcher?
They seem to line them up against the Cardinals. Adams on the first pitch hits a high fly ball into center. McCutchen puts it away for out number 2. Cardinals, if they drop this game, would go to 18-25 here at home. And the Pirates are starting to get hot.
Pirates would only be a half a game behind the Cardinals if they hold on.
This would be their 6th win in a row if the Cardinals cannot come back.
9 out of 11. And they had been on a tailspin in the other direction. Really started when the Cardinals were in Pittsburgh. Swept the Pirates. Pirates lost 2 key players. They went south for a while. They were just not playing very good baseball. Their bullpens brought them back. And a couple of the hot bats in their lineup, Polanco and Marte especially. Clint Hurdle is the most positive person I think I've ever been around. I don't know if that's too strong a statement. I mean, he's tied for first. Since Tony's here, that's the way I'll say it.
1-2 on Jerko.
There's no one more positive than Clint Hurdle.
So they lose Cervelli, you lose Garrett Cole, a frontline starter. And if you look at their schedule in the second half, it is a very favorable schedule. A lot of games with Cincinnati, Milwaukee left. And we talked about it when we were in Pittsburgh, just how rough a stretch of baseball they had coming up with teams like the Dodgers and here in St. Louis and the Cubs. But they're coming out of that, and that schedule lightens up in the second half.
Cardinals are in the middle of a favorable part of their schedule by playing at home, but they're not taking advantage of that yet. Not that they won't, but they haven't yet. 19 out of 22 games at home, pre and post All-Star break.
Every trip in the second half, by the way, is a 3-city trip for the Cardinals. The 2-2 pitch.
What is the matter with you?
Changing the mojo.
Okay.
One, two, three inning for Watson. 5-2 Pittsburgh. Eric Friars had a big night against his former team. He's driven in 3. Freese is driven in 1. Pirates with a lead of 5-2 here in the top of the 9th. The second inning of work for Trevor Rosenthal. Interesting to see how much you can stretch him out at this point.
Well, I think it's a good idea to do that because the more you get stretched out, the less you think about your velocity, the more you think about pitching, and you may find your groove, which I think is the idea. The more repetitions you get, you know, you're struggling to hit your 7-iron, you hit about 100 of them, and maybe you finally find the right swing path. Maybe you don't, but you have a better chance if you extend the repetitions. I think pitching's a little like that for a guy that's struggling. Especially secondary pitches, Dan, you can have an inning where you just throw all fastballs. Just situationally, that's what happens, and you haven't had a chance to check everything else out.
2-2 the count.
So where does Trevor go from here? 2-2. The put away pitch for Rosenthal. So he doesn't go from 2-2 to a walk, but he goes from 2-2 to you can't hit this. Fastball, get it down, get it away.
Up and in at 98. Nissan drives at the game. Eric Friar infield in here. Past Diaz. And this one barely fair, but that would score 2, and he turned that into a double. Our Nissan drives of the game. The 2-2 pitch. Struck him out. That pitch at 98 as well.
98, but mislocation by at least a foot. So did the pitch before. That's okay. You like the strikeout, but the location is still part of the deal for Trevor Rosenthal. Long term, better off getting that pitch down in the zone with the life to it, and then occasionally climbing the ladder. But that was meant to be a pitch away, didn't get there. Still a very good result.
It was Jung Ho Kang. First pitch is fouled back. Came off the disabled list against the Cardinals earlier this season after that horrific leg injury that he suffered last year. And had quite a night with a home run. Made his presence felt.
Just can't get the ball down.
The 2-1 pitch to Kang. Into center field and a base hit. International soccer returning to St. Louis. Don't miss Liverpool FC. They'll take on AS Roma at Busch Stadium on August 1st. Tickets are on sale now at cardinals.com/soccer. August 1st, Liverpool against Roma right here at Busch Stadium. The last Cardinal hit, by the way, was an infield hit back in the 5th inning by Aledmys Diaz. Cardinals have been out hit 11-5 in this game. And here is Sean Rodriguez. Struck out in his first plate appearance and hits a high fly ball into right. Piscotty under it. Makes the catch for out number 2.
You'll hear this out of any major league dugout and clubhouse when asked about what is going wrong at any particular time. And the right thing to say, and I think it is right, is you win as a team and you lose as a team. There are times during the season where the hitting is not full bore, but the pitching's good, or the relief pitching's good and the starting pitching's not good, or the defense isn't good. And I think the story of this Cardinal season, Dan, has been not having it all in sync at the same time for a prolonged period of time so you can get a run. You're going to have moments when the hitting's down, and you just have to recognize that that's the times you have to pitch better or play defense better or shut down the last 3 innings of the game better.
Here's Polanco. 0 for 4 tonight. I just wonder, and I don't know, if the Cardinals have thought about the idea at some point again revisiting it with Trevor Rosenthal to go back and look at him as a starter. If he's not going to close games out, which seems to be the immediate future, ideally you want him in the back end of games and get him back to that point, but would they revisit that at some point?
I wouldn't be in favor of that. I think it's a good question. I think it's a great question. I wouldn't be in favor of that because if you're going to be a starting pitcher, you have to have command of 3 pitches. That's actually harder than to be able to just throw fastball, changeup, and now he's going to have a breaking pitch that he uses effectively and with purpose and in some kind of a rhythm, and the rhythm for Trevor Rosenthal I don't see right now.
One ball, 2 strikes on Polanco. And again, ideally, you want to get him back to the guy that was saving 48 games.
Now, if you do it temporarily for the point of getting him back to being a closer, I'd be more in favor of that.
It's a rare show of frustration right there by Rosenthal. Through all this, he has remained positive. He's kind of like Stone Buddha. You don't see a lot of the facial reactions one way or another. The 2-2 pitch. And you know this has got to be incredibly frustrating for Trevor Rosenthal. This time last year, it seemed like he could get anybody out. Right now, struggling with that command. There's that frustration we were just talking about. 2-2 the count. It's not like he did it for a week. I mean, this is a guy that did this for the last 3 years. Runner at first and a 2-2 pitch. Hit down the left field line and out of play.
One of the other things I see with Trevor Rosenthal is they're fouling off his good best pitches. Nice play, by the way, down the left field line. Oh my goodness. Dad,
awesome.
That's mine, Dad. Get out of my way.
Love it.
That's awesome. That's outstanding. High fives all the way around. But Trevor's best pitches are being fouled at 97 down and away, or 98 down and away was the little fly ball. Now you work at the 3-2, and Trevor just lost his advantage because he couldn't put Polanco away.
Runner off with this pitch. That's Gung. He's standing at first. 2 outs, 3-2 the count. I guess my horn didn't work.
But you're trying to get into the Regis University School of Music.
No, I don't want to do that.
Along with our starter today.
Need to go talk to Stephen Brault. For those that didn't know, or maybe you just tuned in, he is an accomplished singer, part of a band.
Made his major league debut. Not the pitcher of record, but pitched well.
3-2 pitch by Rosenthal. Ripped into right, but there is Piscotty. So 2 scoreless innings for Trevor Rosenthal. You come to the ballpark, you bring your glove, you're hoping for a pop-up coming in your direction, then you get it. Nicely done. Sign her up. It's 5-2. On TV, you can now stream games live on your mobile device. Just go to your app store, download the free Fox Sports Go app, log in, stream the Cardinals wherever you go. Our Chevy call to the pen takes us to Melanson against St. Louis. He's 14 of 15 in save opportunities. Last blown save against the Cardinals was in 2013. He's 10 for his last 10 against the Birds.
Well, there was a time in the career of Mark Melanson where he was not doing a great job as a closer. Lost that job, became more of a setup guy, and refound that form, and has done a very good job the past couple of years. 51 saves in 33, but he was a closer for Houston, then did not pitch well with the Red Sox. They sent him to the minor leagues. That's how bad it was. And the Pirates got him going in the right direction, used him as the secondary closer at one point. That was the 2013 season. So Trevor Rosenthal could probably learn something from the career of Mark Melanson.
You think about the back end of games. Tony Watson, 45th appearance against St. Louis tonight. His ERA is just above 1. Then they go to Melanson, and this being the 34th time he's pitched against the Cardinals, his ERA is 1.89. Adam Frazier takes over at right field, and a strike at the knees to Tommy Pham. Cardinals have not had a base hit since the infield hit, the 18th infield hit of the year for Aledmys Diaz back in the 5th.
I think a good thing to watch with Melanson. We talk about command. Watch where Eric Fryer puts his glove and watch where he throws the pitch. Most times it's within a few inches of the intended target. He's going to give him the sign and the location. Then he's going to give him a target. Outside,
1-2.
that's where it was.
You were pointing out with Rosenthal his lack of command. Did have 2 scoreless innings here tonight.
Yes, he did.
And the 1-2 pitch to Pham on the inside corner, struck him out. Let's turn to our players of the game. A presentation of Budweiser. 2 former Cardinals, David Freese, a couple of hits, 2 for 4 with an RBI, 2 runs scored. Eric Fryer, 2 for 4, 3 RBI. And those 2 are Budweiser players of the game. Here's Brian Pena. Pena, first Cardinal hit here tonight. Base hit to center field back in the 4th. Hit into a fielder's choice and also grounded out to first. One ball, 1 strike.
We'll see Randal Grichuk this inning. Get a couple of base runners aboard for Matt Carpenter. Make this interesting. Feels like a bigger lead than 5-2, but that's all it is.
One and 2.
So there's the location from Fryer, and that's Melanson with command. When we say command, that's it. He has an idea of what he's doing. He's working both sides of the plate. Looks like it's going to be a slider down and in.
Nasty. Boy, it's funny how in this game momentum can shift in a hurry. Last time we saw the Pirates was in Pittsburgh. They lose, as we talked about, 2 very good players. Cardinals sweep them at PNC Park. It looks like the Cardinals ready to go on a roll. Then in this series, Cardinals come off a sweep of Milwaukee. You think they're about to take off, play well, and right now it looks like Pittsburgh's playing with all kinds of momentum.
It's what makes this game both interesting and frustrating.
The final hope with 2 outs. Randal Grichuk back in the big leagues. Did have 5 home runs down in the minor leagues. but you did not see the high on base percentage. It was under 300. So he'll pop you some home runs. Can he get on base a little bit more than what we have seen? Lines it into right field and a base hit. The first Cardinal hit since back in the 5th.
Welcome back, Randall.
That's got to feel good for him.
Oh, you bet it does. This is a cutter, 2 off the end of the bat. Right on it. Card's not finished yet.
Carpenter's been really frustrated with the strike zone here tonight. Couple of strikeouts. Twice he has grounded out to second. This is the loudest we have heard this crowd since that catch made by a fan last inning. Basically since the 4th inning. Very quiet here tonight. Runner goes and it's pulled foul. No balls and a strike on the all-star Carpenter. Oh, and 2. Cardinals down to their final strike.
Love to see Aledmys Diaz hit with the tying run at the plate. The crowd reaction would be worth it. Success or not. But that's the Cardinals' chance right now. Carpenter, get on.
Seung-Hwan Oh throwing in the pen just in case. No balls, 2 strikes on Matt Carpenter. One and 2 the count. Rodriguez not holding on Grichuk, so he could easily head to second if he wishes. Could certainly get a bigger lead. The 1-2. Carpenter with a fly ball out to left. This should do it. Marte is there, and the Pirates have taken the first 2 in this series. The final tonight, 5-2.
Cardinals just not able to put enough together on the offensive side. They end up with 6 hits and just the 2 runs. Mike Leake had a couple of bad innings back to back, and the Pirates were led by former Cardinals here tonight.
The Cardinals out hit in this game, and they drop game number 2. Leake takes the loss. The final, the Pirates 5, the Cardinals 2. The postgame show with Hungo and Scott comes your way next on Fox Sports Midwest.